everyone! In this video we're going to talk about how to put the clarinet together. Now there are lots of different ways to assemble a clarinet, but this is the method that I use because it puts the least amount of pressure on the keys. We always want to make sure that we put the instrument together very carefully because we don't want to damage the keys. That can sometimes make the instrument go out of alignment, and that means it doesn't play very well. So the first thing that we'll need is a little bit of cork grease. Now I have this little jar of cork grease here. You might have a tube of cork grease. Sometimes it comes with the clarinets. So just a little bit of cork grease. We're not going to use very much because a little bit goes a long way. Now the first thing we'll need to do is get our reed ready. So we need to get some moisture into the reed so it plays well, and the best way to do that is to pop it in your mouth. Now you can keep the reed here while you put the clarinet together. Since I'm talking on this video, I'm going to let it soak on its own. But you can keep the reed in your mouth while we're doing this. Okay, the first part that we're going to need is the barrel of the clarinet. That's the little piece here, it's slightly wider at one end. Okay? The next piece that we'll need is the upper joint. Now the upper joint has cork on both ends and key work in between. So we're going to start with these two pieces. Now, we need to make sure the corks are ready for the instrument to go together. So we're going to take our cork grease and just dip your finger in just a tiny bit, put a little bit on your fingertip, and gently twist that around the cork. You can do that with the upper cork and with the lower cork here. That just gives it a little bit of moisture so the pieces go together a little bit more easily. Now, when you're holding your upper joint and putting the clarinet together, you want to make sure that your finger is pressing down on this key here. There's a ring, and you see that when you press that key, your bridge key goes up and down. The bridge key is a little key that bridges the upper joint and the lower joint. So when we're putting the clarinet together, we want to make sure that bridge key is in the up position. And the best way to do that is to make sure your fingers are pressing down on that key to make sure this key is lifted. Okay, so holding that one in your left hand, keeping that bridge key lifted, take the barrel in your right hand, and then gently twist them together. You always want to make sure you're twisting the pieces together and not pulling them or pushing them, because that can damage the cork, and that means we have to take it to the repair shop. So gently twist those pieces together, and then you're ready to go. The next piece that we're going to need is the lower joint. Now the lower joint is the other section of the clarinet that has keys. This one only has cork on one end, on the lower end. This is what the lower joint looks like. So take the lower joint in your right hand, and you want to make sure that you're pressing down on these keys here. It's the lowest key on the lower joint, and you're pressing that one down to make sure those keys are closed. And you'll notice I'm not touching any of the other keys. I'm really just only touching that lowest key. Now that means my hands aren't on any of these rods or any of these keys here, so they're not going to get damaged as I put it together. So we have upper joint in our right hand. We have lower joint in our right hand. We have upper joint in our left hand. Pressing this key down so the bridge key is lifted, and then we gently twist those pieces together. Then you want to check your bridge key. That's in between the two joints, and you want to make sure it's lined up properly. You can do this pretty easily by looking down the clarinet. There should be little lines, or bridge keys look different on different instruments. But you can check and make sure everything's all lined up. So we're almost there. Now we have one more cork, and so this cork needs a little bit of cork grease to get ready for the next piece. So again, just tap a little bit on your fingertip, gently twist it around. We don't need much cork grease on this one. Then we're ready for the bell. The bell is the last piece of the clarinet. It goes down at the bottom. So holding the clarinet again in your right hand, pressing down this last key to make sure that's all closed up, and take your bell and gently twist. Now we're almost there. One more piece to go, and that's the mouthpiece. So take your mouthpiece. It should be in its case with the ligature on and with the mouthpiece cap on. Gently take the mouthpiece cap off, and then keeping the ligature on, we're going to put a little cork grease on the cork just like we did before, a little fingertip. Just gently twist, and then we're going to gently twist this onto the top of the clarinet. Now we make sure the mouthpiece is lined up by checking the register key. You can see the flat part of the mouthpiece should line up just with the register key. Now we're almost ready to go. One more piece, and that's the reed. So you can take the reed out of your mouth, wherever it's been soaking, and then now we'll put the reed on. you want to start with the flat end of the reed because we're going to go from the top down. If you put the reed on first and then the ligature, you have a greater chance of slicing into the reed. And reeds are expensive, and so we want to be very careful with reeds so we don't waste any. So we're going to start with this flat part of the reed here, and then just slide it down from the top, using your thumbs to guide it into place. Most mouthpieces have a little guideline at the bottom, so you can make sure the reed is centered, and then you use your thumb to adjust it at the top. You want to make sure you never touch the tip of the reed because the tip of the reed is very delicate. So using your thumbs, we get the reed lined up, so there's just a little bit of mouthpiece showing at the top. And then you tighten your ligature screw, and then you're ready to go. Your clarinet's all put together and you're ready to play. Now, let's talk about how we take it apart. To take it apart, we remove the last thing that we just put on the clarinet, which is the reed. We take the reed off first, so gently unscrew the ligature, take the reed off, and you want to let the reed dry out a little bit while we're taking the clarinet apart, because we don't want to put a damp reed into your case. We want to make sure it has a little chance to dry out a little bit after we've been playing. So if you set your reed on a table or on your music stand, upside down. So that means with the flat side up instead of the curved side. So we just set that flat side up so air can circulate around it and dry out a little bit. Now we'll gently twist off the mouthpiece, put that back in the mouthpiece cap, and that goes in your case. Then we remove the barrel, gently twisting that apart as well in your case. Now we have upper and lower joint. I want to make sure we're pressing down this key so our bridge key is lifted. And then we hold the lower joint down here by this key here. Gently twist to remove those. And then that's ready to put away. Lower joint, again with our right hand, we're going to press those keys down, hold that down, and gently twist off the bell. And then all those pieces are ready to go. Now the one thing you should always do is make sure you swab the clarinet before you put it away. The last piece left is our reed that's been drying. Now it's ready to go in your reed case, now that it's had a chance to dry out. And you're ready to go. I hope this video was helpful. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please visit my website, www.mirandaclarinet.com. Thank you.